So, what's got my gander up today is all these private equity firms buying all these private properties. I mean, these are not the people who need to be America's landlords. This is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we just found out that on January 5th, they passed some regulation to help these private equity firms surpass paying taxes. And then there was a new report put out that not only are these people using all the loopholes, legal loopholes to not pay taxes, they're using illegal loopholes. And there is a 3 to 4 times better chance of someone making under $25,000 a year is going to get audited than one of these people. At the same time that these private equity firms are buying up all this private property, all these billionaires' tax get released, and we find out they're hardly paying anything in taxes. And what's the response from both the left and the right? Oh my God, the billionaires' privacy. I'm a little bit more concerned about these fools not paying much in taxes. Isn't it crazy? They're taking, like Jeff Bezos takes a loan from his stock, so he doesn't have to pay taxes on that money he got. How crazy is this? This is nuts. That they're paying an effective rate of like 0.5%, 1%. I don't get to do that. I have to pay my percentage no matter what. But then the same people making all this money are investing in all these private properties, paying $100,000, $200,000 above asking price. This means they're going to be America's landlords, and they're not going to give one heck. Look, they ran companies out of business because they didn't want to pay workers and they didn't want to do capital improvements and everything else. What are they going to do to renters? Scares the living daylights out of me. What are they going to do to the rental market? What I have to know is, how is it you're going to buy a house for $500,000? How are you going to get your return on investment not charging, not making the whole, like the only reason they're buying up all these properties is to charge way higher rents. And I don't even know how you can afford it. Like, I don't know how. Look, I seriously don't know how people afford a lot of the rent now. Sorry, it is freaking cold. The air conditioner's blowing right on me. Some of the rents in some of these major cities now, like, a single family home that's running $300-$500 a month. You know how much money you have to be making that's even reasonable? And the average household income is nowhere near that. The only way they can make money off of buying these houses for $500,000, $700,000 is they have to charge a lot of money. Either that or they're going into it for the 40, 50 year investment, which is crazy. Which means they have to buy a lot of homes to drive the prices up everywhere. In which case, what does that do to our economy when most of your money is going to housing? Think about it. When you look back at the 50s and 60s, at 40s, minimum wage, you could buy a house. But, most people's wages were, housing was like, I think 11, 12%. Now they say don't go over a quarter, but realistically, if you want to be in decent housing, your average household income being around 70, you're closer to 30, 35%. Well, if they're driving rents up, that average household income being around 65, 70, which I think it's actually closer to 50, but I've heard 65, 70. I've seen all sorts of numbers, so don't quote me because it depends on who you're looking at or who's telling you. But it's certainly not above 70, and it's probably not below 40. So somewhere in that range. How much higher could you drive up prices than they are now? Because those prices are definitely, rental prices in a lot of places, a lot of major metropolitan places is way higher than 25%. Even in Tennessee where I am, where rents are cheap, they're still going up. And if you want to be in a house, you're spending $1,000-$1,200 a month at a minimum for a house in in small town Tennessee. Where, like in Denver, you're spending $3,500 for a house, minimum. And that's not even in a good part of town. And so the only way they can make money off of a $700,000 house is they got to drive rent prices up. I mean, this is the logic to me. I just can't see them spending $700,000 on a house and then renting it out for $900 a month. Okay, does that make any sense to anybody? And when most of our money is going into housing, and this is the scary thing, because this isn't like I rent now. This isn't like my landlords who are, have 3 rental houses and they're going to put that money basically back into the economy. This is a few individuals who are already incredibly wealthy getting wealthier, and they make so much money they couldn't spend any more if they wanted to. Jeff Bezos, no matter how much more money he makes, will never put more money back into the economy because he physically can't spend more money than he already is spending. Like, it is nearly impossible. You're at a certain number, and I don't know what the number is, but there used to be a study, and I'm sure it's changed. And I think the study was like around 100 million, but that was in the 90s. Maybe it's less, maybe it's more, but at a certain number, no matter how much money you make beyond that, you will not make any more economical benefit to the economy because you physically cannot spend the money. Like, it's not possible. You'd have to be spending all the time in order to affect the economy. And there just comes a certain number where it starts to become virtually impossible because you're either making huge investments like an airplane, a yacht, house, but these are all things that have to be built. They take time. Like, you can't buy one a day. One, you wouldn't, and two, they're not being built fast enough. And the things you are buying, like fancy suits and fancy watches and fancy meals, well, you spend $100,000 a day. Like, let's say you make $1 billion, you spend $100,000 a day. You make $2 billion, you're still spending $100,000 a day. You make $3 billion, you're still spending $100,000 a day. No matter how much more money you make, you're not getting any economic benefit. So we're going to have all these venture capitalists who are already at that level of income being America's landlords, who most of the money is going to, and what are they doing? They're just sitting on it, getting richer. I don't even understand. At some point, it's like, how much is enough? Jeff Bezos at least kind of makes sense to me because just by existing, by breathing, Amazon makes money. But these venture capitalists are going out of their way to make more and more and more and more. They work hard for money they can't even spend. It's addiction. It feels like it is anyway. But it scares me because I can't see any good coming from this. And by the way, green, it isn't socialism. This is late stage capitalism. Socialism wouldn't allow a few people to have all the power and be in control, actually. It's for the people. Understand your differences between governments and differences between regimes, and what capitalism is, what socialism is, what communism is, what authoritarianism is. I mean, these are all different things, and just because you don't like what's going on with one thing, that doesn't mean you can't just say everything is you don't like socialism. You can't label everything socialism. You definitely can't say it's socialism because everyone wants to be communist. Those are two different systems altogether, have nothing to do with each other. This is late stage capitalism. When a few of the wealthy, the elites, it's an oligarchy system. It has nothing to do with socialism. In fact, socialism is absolutely against oligarchies. Communism is more towards oligarchies and extreme conservatism. Socialism is more of a kind of leftist idea. But now I'm going into a whole different rant, a whole different thing. So it doesn't matter what side you're on. It doesn't matter if you're left or right. The scary thing is both the left and right, the Ben Shapiros and some of the corporate Democrats are, defending this. Some of them are scared of it. I hear like Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about how this is socialism, how it's scary that all these few companies are buying up all the property. But you hear the Young Turks. They just hate it just as much. They know it's not socialism, it's a different thing. And then you get the billionaires not paying taxes, and everyone in the corporate left and right is like, oh, we got to protect our billionaires. And the extremes want to tax the billionaires on both sides. And we have reached this kind of weird pivotal point where you're starting to see it doesn't matter if you're left or right. You're starting to realize that if you're not an elitist, if you're not in Washington, D.C. or a billionaire, you're not part of the club, you're getting fucked. Plain and simple. That's how it is. The system's rigged against anyone who's not part of it. So it doesn't matter if you're conservative or communist or socialist or social democrat or leftist or rightist, or you're getting screwed equally. So maybe we should start getting rid of the corporate left and the right, because they're the problem. and they're allowing this to happen. Hey, stay safe out there.